I came to this point where I just so unhappy with myself and I was under so much pressure. Mentally, I was not in a good place. This is how it looks like to risk your entire career at 25 and what I think people are generally wrong about when quitting their 9 to 5 job. I was working as a physiotherapist at 25 years old and I really just didn't enjoy myself. I remember coming out into the working world and I was doing so many things. I was seeing so many patients. I was working as hard as I could. I was doing all the hard work and I was just paid around $2,800. So don't get me wrong, the amount of money is actually a lot for anyone who's graduating from university because before that you just had allowance from your parents, which is nowhere close to $2,800, right? So I think that amount of money was actually a lot, but I think a lot of people when they have the issues with their job is because they feel that they are not being paid enough to do the job that they are doing. Basically, it means that they're not compensated enough for whatever it is that they are doing. And I think that was really how I felt as well. And I felt so trapped in the job because I think I was quite lucky that I was in a healthcare job and I had a meaningful job where I was helping people, I was helping patients, they were getting better, I was discharging them from the hospital, and I was getting paid as a result of that. So there's no bigger joy in life than, having a fulfilling job. But I just felt like the things I was doing in the hospital were not aligned with what I wanted to do in my life. And I think at that time, I really, really hated my job so much. Don't get me wrong, the environment, the colleagues and everything were the best part of the job. And I really liked my friends and my colleagues and my seniors in my team were really, really helpful in this whole job transition from university over to my job. But I think the main part was that I was, at that time, I started to have a girlfriend. Actually, no, I already had my girlfriend a long time ago, but my girlfriend and we were talking about family planning, getting a house and things like that. And things were starting to get real. And when you are going to build a family and start a house with $2,800 before CPF. So after CPF, you can just imagine how much money actually hits my bank account. After you deduct all your daily necessities, your expenses and everything like that, then how much money is really left? And I think that's how people really feel trapped in their jobs because they don't feel like they're earning enough to have a proper future for the job. Of course, additionally, one of the main things that really makes me want to really escape is because I really, really hated doing what I was doing because every day I would go to the hospital, I'll be looking at patients who didn't want to see me. And obviously when people don't want to see you, you don't really feel very excited seeing them as well, right? And I think that whole discomfort and unhappiness started building up from then. And because I was so unsatisfied, I actually thought that physio wasn't my way out and I really wanted to do something else. And I think that's where people are going towards and probably why I created my whole YouTube channel based on money, investing and stuff like that because they were all born from that journey of being unhappy with my finances at 25 years old, which made me chase the next thing that I'm going to be talking about, which is day trading. Day trading came in a time of need where I felt like I wanted to really chase after something like that that could very easily give me benefits and money so quickly, or at least that's what the trading gurus on YouTube are always talking about. And I think to some extent I can't say that's all their fault, it is my fault as well. I was being preyed for my naivety and my vulnerability on wanting to quit my job, being unhappy with my job. And ultimately I think that's what people want to do when they say they want to retire. They don't really want to retire to do nothing. They basically just want to escape from their current job. And I've spent some time just chilling for a couple of months in between my jobs and stuff like that. And I can say that that's the most boring time of my life because having a life where you have no purpose and you're waking up to do absolutely nothing is actually super boring. Or like people say they want to be sipping mojitos at the beach or anything like that. How many days can you do that in a row? I give you 7 days, you can do that every single day. You get bored lying on the beach all day long. And I think that's ultimately where my discomfort and my unhappiness came from, which made me chase day trading because people were promising good benefits, good amount of money for just like 1-2 hours on the laptop. You can open it up and you can really just chase something like that. And I was impatient as a young person, and I think anyone in the 20s can really relate because you want to get rich as quickly as possible, especially if you hate your job. So that part is the worst because it pushes you into that impatient kind of category, and it made me make this big decision of wanting to quit my job because number one, the push factor from how unhappy I was in the job was so big, and number two was I was so interested in trading. It was so interesting to me to learn technical analysis and also learn about fundamental analysis, and all that kind of things really helped to build things up and pull me towards this new kind of job where I want to be a day trader, especially in the US stock market, and just kind of pursue that full time. And I think I discussed this with my parents and my girlfriend and stuff like that, and the time really came where when the pandemic happened and everything was locked down and I wasn't doing much work because we were segmented in the hospitals and we couldn't just go to another ward to see patients. So everybody was seeing a lot less patients. And I thought to myself, that should have been the best time for me to leave the job because everybody is very free, right? They're very chill. They're not doing a lot of work. And that's the best time where I'm leaving so I don't burden them with more work if I'm leaving at that time. So I felt like, okay, that was the best time for me. I discussed this with everyone and I didn't have any liabilities yet and we could postpone our family planning and our life a little bit later if I could pursue something that could potentially make me a lot happier and also help me to earn a bit more money. At least that's what I thought at that time. So that's where I make the jump to leave the hospital and start my journey of day trading. So then I totally quit from my job and I was staying at home, day trading the US stock markets. So in Singapore, the US stock market only opens at around 10 to 11 p.m., sometimes a bit earlier as well, which means at night, that's where I start working. The rest of the day, I'm using it to review my trades, think about how I can improve my psychology, think about managing my emotions, reading books. I was dabbling a bit into YouTube as well, but not very serious about it. I have a previous YouTube channel. I don't know if you can find it, but that's a story for another day. This is the second YouTube channel and it was a bit more successful than the first one, I must say. But yeah, that was the whole think of my transition from the hospital to the day trading kind of journey. And I started to do that for almost about 2 years. I was doing it consistently every single day. I think that's probably where the decline happened because if any of you haven't tried day trading yet, feel free to try. Use a small amount of money and you will freaking realize it as fast as possible that it is damn difficult. It is so difficult to make a living out of day trading. Now, don't get me wrong. I am sure that there are some people out there who are talented enough or have grinded enough to become a profitable day trader and they found the strategies that work for them. But it was so difficult to do it for me, especially because I had no income that was coming in. I was just banking on my savings to survive as long as possible. Of course, I reduced my expenses to almost non-existent. I think I was spending like $100, $200 on food and transport every single month, I was eating at home, eating at my girlfriend's house and stuff like that to save money. And that was how I was able to survive. But the fact that I had no money coming in made it so much more pressurizing because I had to earn money every single time I'm in the markets. And when that happens and you're desperate for money, desperate to prove yourself and desperate to prove yourself to the whole world, I told all my physio friends, I will never come back to physio again and I'll be a millionaire day trader. Freaking both didn't happen. I went back to physio. I'm now I guess I can't say quite a successful physio, but I'm doing pretty decently at my job. And I wasn't a millionaire day trader at all. And I basically went through the entire journey without much of a direction. I didn't have much of a mentor. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just following people on YouTube, jumping from trading strategy to trading strategy. And I had a bit of success here and there, but overall, I think over the last 2 years or so, I made almost no money or maybe I lost a little bit of money, which was in essence a very big waste of time that I felt at that point of time. What really made me come back from this whole journey was I felt like I was constantly stressed, constantly anxious, and I had a lot of this I wouldn't say I went into depression because I had such a good support system. My girlfriend, my family, they all supported me really, really well. And I came to this point where I just so unhappy with myself and I was under so much pressure. Mentally, I was not in a good place. I didn't know all these emotions still existed in me, but I was basically so unhappy that I said that I would succeed, but I didn't. And that really caused everything to change for me, especially when we started going out to eat with my girlfriend and she was earning good money at that time and I was the one who was constantly holding her back and saying that, oh, let's not go to such an expensive place, let's eat at home instead. And I felt like a wet blanket and I was just not letting her enjoy her 20s. And, when that happens over a long period of time, it really wears you down a little bit. And I still felt, and I can still remember to today that it was one of my most shameful moments because I felt like I failed as a man and I couldn't provide for her. I mean, I know the whole gender equality thing is, present now and I don't have to feel bad about my girlfriend earning more money than me. Especially I should be happy, we have more money for the overall household and but as a guy, you were brought up to really provide for the family, right? And I'm not saying that I'm a big male ego or anything like that, but it really hurt my pride at that time, and I had to tell myself that okay, the first thing I needed to get into back into the game was that mentally I was not in a great shape. So to get it back, I needed to go back into a stable job first so that I can get a stable income and then I can stop having all these worries and anxiety. And that was the hard decision to tell myself that I was wrong. I can't do this anymore, and I can't be putting my family and myself under all this stress and anxiety anymore, especially since I've given it some time. I've given it 1 to 2 years, and it's proven that I can't make money from day trading, right? No one's to say that if I did it for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I might not succeed, but my mental state couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to admit that I was wrong, take a step back, and really go back to physio, and that's where I ended up in my private practice right now. Overall, it made me feel like those 2 years at that point in time, I can still remember it was such an embarrassment. It was such a waste of time because I felt like, wow, I was so behind my other colleagues or friends and peers because they were the same age as me, but they had already been working for about 2 to 3 years, and they were rising to senior positions. They were doing a lot better. They were having advancements in their career, and I was this loser who was day trading his way to thinking about becoming a millionaire day trader. I don't know if anyone judged me, but I judged myself pretty hard. And I think that's what people don't see enough, is that when you think about leaving your 9 to 5 job, you think that you are leaving it for a less hours of working. But the double-edged sword comes because you can technically work anytime and all the time throughout the entire day that you have at home. You can't stop thinking about work. So you're basically trading a 9 to 5 or 24/7 kind of job. And I think that's what people don't really talk about too much, where the freedom and mental state of mind that you can have when you're being employed is something that cannot be bought. And I think every entrepreneur or business owner, they probably have this same worry as well. But it's not commonly talked about. It's not sexy to talk about these things, So before you quit your jobs, I think really think about all these things and have a plan in mind before you get in. I had a plan as well, but have a plan in case the plan doesn't work out. Where do you call it quits and really just go back to what you were doing? Or if you're very successful and you do well, of course, congratulations. But I knew that at that time I needed to really admit that I was wrong and really get back to it. But it didn't change my plans too much. I knew that I still wanted to create something in the future where after I'm, a bit more settled in my physio job, then I'm going to continue and pursue something else on the side to make sure that the side hustle or the side quest does well enough again so that I can go back, or rather have a bit more options and flexibility in order to create a life that I want to live a bit more meaningful as well. Which is why I created this YouTube channel, right? It's all about money, it's all about investing, it's all about side hustles to earn more money on the side as well. And ultimately, that just gives us a little bit more flexibility in our life. You can take leave whenever you want to. You don't have to worry about your boss or your job leaving you because you have money, right? You have options. If you want to leave, just leave. Doesn't matter. Moving forward, it also made me feel like those few years were actually my most failed years, but as of right now, I feel like they are my most successful years because now I started a new YouTube channel and it's doing relatively well. My previous YouTube channel had like 200 plus subscribers. After 2 years, I'm reaching the 2-year mark on this channel as well. I'm close to 3K subscribers, and not tooting my own horn or anything, but it was relatively more successful because I had the know-how, I had the discipline, I had the perseverance that I've built within those few years of struggling. And I was able to do that all again and really build this YouTube channel up from scratch. And I think now if I were to look back, I would definitely build my side hustle up more first to make sure that I'm profitable, it shows proof of concept, and make a couple $1,000s a month first before I make the jump into making that side hustle my main quest of like day trading at that time. That's what I would say to my previous self or my younger self. And if you guys are in the same situation, perhaps consider this as well. Unless you can prove that your side hustle can at least make some money or make a good amount of money to sustain your lifestyle, what proof do you have to jump into your side hustle right now just because you hate your main job, right? We all have days that we don't like it as much. The job sucks or the job is difficult, and it might be just a perspective problem or you're struggling with things at home, but really think about it before you use it as a form of escape and you really dive into something that is going to give you a lot more chaos than before, right? I never knew that having a stable job was going to make me feel more peaceful than before, but it is what it is and it is how it went. And I think the moral of the story is make sure your side hustle can earn good amount of money before you jump into your main hustle. And uh, it's not all glamorous going into a side hustle or going in full time, quitting your jobs and going into something else to earn money. It's not easy in that sense. It's worth it, I'm sure, because you learn so many new things along the way. But hopefully, you learn something about how you can, revolve your life and change your life around quitting your job and really understand a bit more about the side of if you quit your job, this is how it's going to look like. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but you do learn a lot of good things from it and new things like my YouTube channel and all these things will sprout out from it. And I would say even my success in the physio world really came from those 2 years of grind and perseverance because I had to start everything up again, and the know-hows came from me struggling during my 2 years of trading. So hopefully this video, it's been going on for a bit long, but hopefully this video has helped you guys gain a bit of insight on how it feels like to risk your career at 25 and whether you are right or wrong about quitting your job or not. Nobody can tell. Take the leap if you really want to, but make sure that you have some plans set aside to make sure that if it doesn't work out, you can still have an alternate plan. Don't burn all the boats down. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos. Bye bye.